Caleb Wilson just scored 35 points in his Summer League debut and set a record doing it. That alone is a headline, but the 35 is not the real story. The real story is how he got them, because the number 4 pick spent his entire college career hearing about one giant hole in his game, and tonight he filled it in the most dramatic way possible. So today we are not just counting his points, we are looking at exactly how he scored them and what that tiny glimpse quietly tells us about the kind of player Chicago just drafted. Let's break it down. Here's the plan. First, the debut itself. Then, the hole in his game, the thing every scout worried about. Then, how he actually got his points tonight, which is the whole point of this video. And finally, what this small sample really tells us. The stats are verified. The read on what it means is mine. This is Game is Culture. Quick thing first, if you like breakdowns that look past the box score and into what a performance actually means, subscribe. Because anyone can tell you he scored 35. We are going to tell you why it matters. Start with the night itself, because on the surface, it was pure fireworks. In his first Las Vegas Summer League game, Caleb Wilson went for 35 points on 12 of 21 shooting to go with 5 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. That 35 set the record for the highest scoring Summer League debut. The Bulls actually lost a heartbreaker 97-96 to Cameron Boozer's Grizzlies, but Wilson was the best player on the floor by a mile. As a pure stat line, it is dazzling, but the box score hides the single most important detail, and that detail changes everything. Here's the full line. 35 points, 5 boards, and 3 blocks in his first pro game. Notice those 3 blocks because they matter later. This is a complete two-way performance from a 19-year-old rookie. But to understand why this specific game is such a big deal, you have to know what people said he could not do. So let's talk about the hole. The one weakness that followed Caleb Wilson all the way to the number 4 pick. At North Carolina, Wilson was a stud in almost every way. Nearly 20 points and 10 rebounds a game as a true freshman on 58% shooting. Elite athlete, great finisher, real shot blocker, good passer for a big. But there was one glaring problem, and every scouting report circled it in red. He could not shoot from outside. He hit just 26% of his threes, and here's the number that stuck to him. He made only 7 3-pointers the entire college season. 7 all year. Teams loved everything about him except the fear that he would be a non-shooter, a forward defenses could just ignore beyond the arc. You can see the split that scared teams right here. Inside the arc and at the line, he was excellent. From 3, he fell off a cliff. This is the profile of a dominant interior player with a giant question mark hanging over his jump shot. In today's NBA, a forward who cannot space the floor has a hard ceiling. That was the entire concern with Caleb Wilson. So now the whole reason this debut matters, not that he scored 35, but how he scored 35. Here it is. Of his 35 points, Caleb Wilson knocked down 7 3-pointers on 11 attempts. 7 threes. From the guy whose entire knock was that he could not shoot. He did not get his points by dunking on people or cleaning up putbacks, the stuff we already knew he could do. He got them by draining the exact shot scouts swore he did not have. When you set out to answer a question about a prospect, this is the single best way to do it. He walked straight at his weakness and buried it. Look at the shot chart because this is the picture that matters. Those makes are not all layups and dunks clustered at the rim. They are spread all the way around the 3-point line, corner, wing, top of the key. This is a shot chart of a floor spacer, the one thing nobody thought he was. Yes, he still finished inside like always, but the story is written above the break in all those made threes. And if you want the one stat that captures how wild this is, here it is. In his entire freshman season at North Carolina, across more than 30 games, Caleb Wilson made 7 3-pointers total. Tonight, in one game, he made 7 3-pointers. He matched a full college season of made threes in a single summer league night. Let that sink in. That is not a small improvement. That is a total inversion of the biggest thing holding him back. This is why the how matters so much more than the what. Imagine he had scored 35 on nothing but dunks, transition, and putbacks. It would have been fun, but it would have told us nothing new because we already knew he could do that. Getting there through outside shooting is completely different. It is the one piece of evidence that speaks directly to the one doubt. The method is the message. He did not just have a big game, he had the specific big game that his critics said he could never have. So what does this small glimpse actually tell us about who Caleb Wilson can be? Here's the exciting part. The rest of his game was never the question. Remember those 3 blocks and 5 rebounds tonight. The defense, the athleticism, the finishing, the motor, all of that was already elite and on full display. He was always going to be a versatile, do-it-all forward. The only thing capping his ceiling was the shooting. So if you take a do-it-all forward who defends and finishes and you add real outside shooting, you do not have a role player anymore. You have the exact two-way, floor-spacing forward that every single team in the league is desperate for. Tonight was the first glimpse of that complete version. Now let me be the responsible one, because it has to be said, it is one Summer League game. 7 for 11 from 3 is a scorching, unsustainable rate, and 11 attempts is a tiny sample against uneven competition. Shooting is the last skill to truly stabilize, and nobody should expect him to hit 63% from deep in real games. His true level is somewhere between the 26% he shot in college and the fireworks we saw tonight. So temper it, this is not proof, but it is the best possible kind of evidence, a flash of the exact skill that would change his entire career. So how encouraged should Bulls fans be? On my meter, very. Not because the shooting is fixed, it is not confirmed yet, but because this is the single most encouraging thing he could have possibly done. When a player answers his one big question mark in his very first game, you pay attention. The tools were never in doubt. Tonight, the missing piece flickered to life. So here's where I land. Caleb Wilson could not have scripted a better debut, and it has almost nothing to do with the 35. It is that he took the single biggest criticism of his game and, for one night, made it his biggest strength. If even a fraction of that shooting is real, Chicago did not draft a project at number 4. They drafted a steal, a do-it-all forward who can also space the floor. The number to watch now is not his points. It is how many threes he keeps taking and making over the next few games. But as far as first impressions go, this one hit the exact target. So that is the Caleb Wilson debut. 35 points that matter almost entirely because of how he got them. So tell me, do you buy the shooting as a real leap, or is this a hot Summer League night that cools off fast? Drop it below. And we are so close to 2,000 subs, so subscribe to stay up to date.